Wake up in the morning with Joe Doyle of Brenshaw Real Estate. Hey, Joe Doyle here, not your average Joe with Brenshaw Real Estate. We're here on episode 3 of Explore the Shore. On a more heartfelt note, we're going to see 2 non-for-profits. First being the Chris Rose Therapy Center, School for Autism, and the Salvation Army. I think that it's also really important to spur awareness for these businesses as well and what they offer to the community of Kamloops. It's not always easy to talk about, but it's something that needs to be talked about. All right, guys, we have journeyed down here to the Chris Rose Therapy Center for Autism. We're gonna go inside and see what's going on.
So my name's Wanda Eddy, and I'm the Executive Director of the Chris Rose Therapy Center for Autism. I've been here for over 20 years. So the goal of music therapy is to use music as the modality to be able to work on things like language development, peer interaction, the ability to tolerate change, which is very difficult for children with autism to do. This is Twinkie, our therapy dog. Twinkie's role is really to help the children. In some ways, she can be very calming for the children. So we've had situations where when children become upset, Twinkie comes to them, they give them hugs, and the child calms down, and we're able to then sort of find out what the issue is.
And it's got to be challenging because I guess everything's case by case, and you don't know until you try a few things, then you get a little bit of advancement, and then you can go into that.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that's the strength of the Chris Rose Therapy Center. You're right, it is all about each individual child and what that program is going to look like for each individual child. So that's this room. Let's go on to another one. So this is our occupational therapy room, and as you mentioned, it looks like a lot of fun.
Makes me want to do a somersault.
There are lots of swings and vestibular equipment. We have the gross motor equipment. We also work on things like tactile, so that children get desensitized from being able to touch ooey gooey sticky. So if you think about holding a pencil, as you're writing, your hand goes against the paper. If you're tactile defensive, that's painful or unpleasant to do, right? What about things like wearing your clothes? Some children can't wear certain textures of clothes. They can only be eaten certain textures of food. So children may have like 3 foods they eat simply because of the tactile system. So when you think about it, man, that's really important. It's really important that they can be able to tolerate different textures. Think about getting your hair cut. Think about brushing your teeth. All of those things are involving
extra heightened.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it becomes, we have to desensitize that so the children are able to tolerate it. So even things like the swings, for some children that go on the swings, they actually find it unpleasant or they're not able to be able to go on the swing. So for them, something like weight shifting would be the equivalent of you and I going on the West Coast amusement rides. So those whippy rides that you went on.
Yeah.
And as a child, you probably enjoyed them. As an adult, we often throw up when we go on them now.
Why is that, eh?
Well, your system actually becomes hardened and you're not able to tolerate as much movement. But think about that if you can't tolerate this. What can't you do? Well, what about going up and down stairs? What about your ability to take off your shoes or put on your pants? Right, that all requires weight shifting to do, and if a child can't do that, their development gets delayed. So it's a fun room and the kids love it, but it's all about therapy and about the child being able to participate in those activities that you and I take for granted.
Right.
So often children with autism need what's called deep pressure or proprioception. So things like some children may even hit themselves in order to get sort of that feeling of impact, right? This is a snug vest, and you wear the vest. Obviously it's too small for you and I, and these pockets are full of air and it actually compresses, and so they feel more, yeah. Here is what we call a body sock. And so you actually climb into these. So you're gonna get under a mile.
All right.
But you can feel how it's tight, right?
Yeah.
And the kids can walk around and get that stretching. So that will feel, for a lot of them, make them feel grounded, and then they're not participating in some, what we call maladaptive things, like banging your head.
Wow, now that was heavy. You gotta really take your hats off for all the employees, volunteers, and co-workers here that have to do this on a day-to-day basis. Wow, when awareness gets brought into certain things like this, it really opens up your eyes. Now that was incredible. Hey everybody, we're here at the Salvation Army. Let's see what they're all about. Good afternoon, Corey and Kelly. How you doing today?
Good, we're doing great.
So the Salvation Army here, what can you tell me about this place?
We are more than what you probably think that we are. Lots of people know the name of the Salvation Army. They recognize it, have heard stories about it, have had grandparents share stories about the Salvation Army over the years. But we actually do quite a few different things. So as lots of people know, we have a thrift store. We're actually in the midst of closing that thrift store. It's one of those challenging times that we've had to go through and make that decision. But that doesn't mean we're gone. We're still here. We're still serving our community. So we are a church. That's something that lots of people don't necessarily realize, that we are a church, and because we're a church is why we do everything else that we do. We are here Monday to Friday, and we're serving the community in all sorts of different capacities.
What can you share and add on to that?
This is our busiest season, and this year is going to be unusual because of all the COVID stuff. So we've already begun. Christmas is already upon us. That's the way that it works in the Salvation Army. By the time the summer is over, we don't really get a fall. We go straight from summer to Christmas. And so for us, we're already thinking about our Christmas kettles. It's our main fundraising campaign for the year, and it brings in most of the funds that we use to serve the community throughout next year. And so that's really important for us. We've got our Coats for Folks program that's happening right now. So we're collecting winter coats that will be distributed around town, as well as in our office here in the building. And so this is a really exciting season for us, because the next 4 months are the busiest time of year for us, both in serving, but as well as in terms of fundraising and raising funds to continue to do what we do in the coming year.
Oh, amazing. So you also talk about like, it's a safe place. Due with COVID and everything that's going on right now, what does that look like for someone coming into your facility for the first time?
So right now, at this moment, we haven't actually opened up our doors yet because of COVID, but that doesn't mean we're closed. We're just doing services from our back door. So if people are in need of assistance, they can come, and we have a doorbell. They just ring that bell. We have emergency food here, so we provide food hampers. We're also taking out our truck. So starting in March, we were able to get our truck back out on the road, and we're serving in 2 different places on 2 different days in the community. So we're serving right here on the North Shore on Tuesdays, and then we're going to Valley View on Wednesdays. And we just want to make sure that we can bring our services to people when they can't necessarily get to us.
Thinking about it back when I was young here in Kamloops, the South Shore on Battle Street, there was a church there right by, I guess the YMCA was there. And it was an integral part. When I was a kid, I got food from there for the majority of my childhood. So places like this are very appreciated.
Thanks. We're really excited because we get to meld our hearts as believers. But people don't realize that. Oh, you're the Salvation Army officers in town, and realizing that we pastor a church here. We're sitting in that church right now. And so just recognizing that we get to bring our desire to serve people, to meet human need in our community. We invite them in and we say, come, how can we help you? How can we serve you today? How can we make a difference today? And so that's really comes out of our heart to share God's love with people, and to recognize that His love is not limited. It does not have discriminating factors. It's everybody is welcome.
Like a beacon of light of sorts.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you shared that one of the things you remember from your childhood is getting food from a church. And we didn't want to lose those families that at that time was when people needed it the most, because we don't want to lose those connections. We know that that's important. Those are the memories that those kids will have when they grow up. So thanks for sharing that.
And that's amazing. Like, these are all things I never knew that you guys offered to the community. That's amazing.
Glad we can share.
Thanks, Kelly and Corey, for sharing your information about Salvation Army and everything that it offers, shining a beacon of light on the community and Kamloops.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into episode 3. I know this episode was a little more heartfelt and pulled on the heartstrings, but I think it's really important to know what these people do and the sacrifice they give to our community and to our kids. Thank you.